Hi, I want to talk to you today about how to collect private pay and how to collect insurance when you're in private practice. And so the steps are going to be similar in the beginning, and then they're going to change in terms of collection. So the first thing that you're going to want to make sure that you do is have your intake forms completed by your client. Before you start to meet with that client and you decide that you're going to work with them, you want to make sure that they have a copy of all your intake forms, especially the form that authorizes for you to bill insurance on their behalf and authorizes for you to collect payments if a payment is owed by your cash paying, private paying client. And so once those forms are completed, before you meet with the person, you're also going to require to have a copy of their driver's license and a copy of their insurance card if you're going to be collecting insurance payment. And that has to be kept on file. That's required by mostly all insurance companies. One, to verify that the person who's getting the service is the actual person covered. And then the other, to ensure that when you go file for the insurance claim, that you're filing the right claim for the right person under the right plan. And so it's important that you get a copy of those two documents and keep them on file for your billing purposes and also in the future for auditing purposes. Now, when you're looking to collect for insurance, you're going to collect the documents, make sure the patient is aware of how much is going to be charged to the insurance company. So when that patient gets their explanation of benefits in the mail, they're aware of what's being charged, and they're also aware of their copay or their deductible amount that the insurance panel that they're on will require of that patient. It's important to have these conversations up front so that there's no surprise for the patient when they get their bill in the mail, and there's no surprise for you in terms of the coverage. Now, if you're working with the billing company, they'll do everything to pre-authorize that person to ensure that that person has the coverage and to know what that copay or deductible is that that client has. If you're managing your own billing, you want to make sure that before every session that you verify that that person still has the same insurance and still has coverage. And so you'll have to go into that insurance panel's computer system, whether they're using a certain software or they're using a software that most insurance panels use, to verify that person is still covered, verify their insurance, and also to make sure that if you had submitted payment before, that you have your payment from your previous session as you go into your next session. When it comes to your client that's under insurance, you want to make sure that after you've met with that client, that as quickly as possible that you complete your note. You're going to be required to keep a copy of that note, whether you keep it electronically through electronic health record or you keep it on paper, locked in a file cabinet behind a double lock. Either way, you want to make sure that that documentation is completed and that you submit for payment with that insurance company as soon as you finish seeing your client for the day and prior to their next session. That way you can ensure that you get paid timely, and if there's anything wrong with it, that the insurance company has enough time to get back to you and you can make corrections before you have several sessions in and then you find out that many of your claims have been rejected. So it's important to complete your note and submit for payment as soon as you have finished seeing that client for that encounter. That's going to be important in making sure that you get paid and also catch any mistakes that may have been made. With insurances, you want to make sure to catch those mistakes, make those corrections, and resubmit them as quickly as possible. Now, when it comes to your private pay clients, you still want to make sure that you have all your intake forms and authorization to collect payment. If you're working with private pay clients, you want to make sure that you have a credit card processing service already in place that you can collect payments with the same day of service. Many of the credit card processing services offer a business associates agreement, which would allow you to become HIPAA compliant using that platform to collect payments. You'll have to check with the credit card processing services that are available in your area and decide which one that you feel is best to go with, and also just verify the rates, how much they're charging per transaction to make sure it's not only HIPAA compliant, but also it's viable in terms of how much they're charging you to process credit card payments. This is what you're going to use to collect your copays with, and this is also what you'll use to collect your private pay straight fee for service from your clients. A good rule of practice is to collect the payment either before or after services are rendered at the time of the appointment. So that way the client doesn't have a bill growing in between sessions, and you are guaranteed to, number one, collect your payment, but also to freely engage with that client in the next services without having to deal with any invoices that are left unpaid. But you'll determine what's the best way to collect your private pay, what's the best schedule. If you decide to bill your private pay clients after the session, it's important that you think about a policy to have in place to not allow that the bill would get so large that it would get out of hand and cause stress or cause problems in terms of collecting payments from your private pay clients. So just as a quick recap, you want to make sure that you have a procedure in place for both when you're going to collect private pay and collect insurance. Decide if you're going to be all private pay or all insurance or a mixture of both. Having private pay is helpful in terms of being able to not have to deal with all the forms, paperwork, and the software of insurance companies. But having insurance panels and being on those panels has a lot of benefits in terms of allowing you to reach more people and offer more services, and it helps your clientele in that the cost of receiving medical services, of therapy services, is a lot easier, a lot less, because the insurance is covering the bulk of it. So it's up to you to decide what type of practice you want, if it's going to be a blend or all of one or all of the other. But in any case, it's really important to decide what your processes, procedures are going to be, how you're going to collect your payments, how you're going to collect your deductibles, and really be upfront and clear with your patients so that with the stress that they're coming in to see you to help get relief from, you don't want payment, billing, or any fees owed to add to additional stress to someone who's coming in to help find ways to cope and deal with stress. So the quicker you have a procedure and processes in place, you have paperwork that outlines and is really clear for your clients what to expect in terms of fees and services, the better it is for you. And the smoother your practice is going to run, and the less questions or dissatisfaction you're going to have when it comes to billing, processing, and payment. So I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. My name is Gessy Martinez, and I am a therapist, an author, and a coach. And I just want to see you make your private practice dream come true. Thank you.